Hi everybody, Jim Hamilton here with Core Resonance and Core Resonance Colonies. This is our first colony. We've been going since, when was the spring equinox? Was that in
March?
March?
21.
So we've been going, I don't know how many weeks this is, that's 3-4 months now. It's quite a while. And we've had quite a bit of experience to the point that we're successful as the first colony. Would you guys agree with that?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, I wrote these books and I projected ideas, or I should say they came to me, and in writing them down they became ideas that I projected. And that the idea that this colony has finally formed, because I wrote the 12 premises, I think it was 2015. It was 4 years before the colony formed. Here we are, and what we're really doing is we're documenting all new levels of synchronicity, harmony, and order beyond what we could produce on our own. And a big chunk of doing this is actually letting go of the mind. And while normally letting go of the mind is difficult because you can't use the mind to let go of the mind, that's the shortcoming. But as we learn how to quiet our nervous system, we're slowly but surely enabling our natural state of connection with the cosmos, for which it takes over what the mind used to try to do. And so guidance becomes available. Synchronicity, harmony, and order is one of the results of that. And as it gets amplified, I'm starting to call what I call synchronicity, harmony, and order for years. I'm now starting to call it coherence. And coherence dissipates disorder. We have all new ways to look at all this stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to begin by taking some time and sharing some of our experiences. Synchronicity, harmony, and order, insight, or what has come to you that's powerful now that we've been going. How many months have we been going?
3 minus 6.
No, more.
6.
March.
I was going to
Minus
subtract.
6 months.
March is the 3rd month, we're in the 9th, but let's say the 8th, so 5 months.
It's a lot of experience. So who wants to begin by trying to express what this has been to them or what they've discovered?
I'm not shy.
All right.
So there's about 3 things that have been, I think it's 3 that I've known that has been most significant for me. Number 1 is that I'm finding that I can, it's not that I can, but somehow time is being manipulated. I will have more time than I would expect. Today I was working on some different things, and I looked down at the clock, because I had looked down at it before, trying to keep track of when I had to go somewhere, and I looked down again and went, oh, okay, so we're expanding time right now, and I was able to do more than I originally thought I could, and that has happened another time, a number of times, and that's really cool. And so sometimes what I'll actually do is be deep within my heart, like traveling when I'm late, being within my heart and just say, okay, I'm ready for time just to relax. And it works about half the time, which is which is fun. Another thing that happens, that's been happening more to me, it had happened before, but it was really happening a lot, and it's still happening a lot, is I do a lot of healing work, and I have been starting to see images coming into me of what it is that I need to do. That is now not even just with my healing work, it's with my life. It's kind of like, I mean, this sounds really mundane, but it was the image, well, I was going to do something else, and the image was, go take a shower. So I went to take a shower first. An image would be, you need to quit and go to bed. So it's like that part was talking to me, and I was seeing those things that were happening. And
So it's an image versus a mind message.
it's
an insight.
almost always an image, and it's just, ouch, it's just, I have an injury on that finger, it's just a flash that happens, but you only need a flash. And then again, with the clients that I have, I'll see an image which reminds me of, well, do I do this technique or this technique or this technique? And so it's like I don't have to sit there and try to figure it out. So that was the second thing. The third thing is very personal, and that is how I process feelings and emotions. I've always been an emotional person. I was always one of those people that, you know, my family said or somebody else said, you know, you quit wearing your feelings on your sleeve. And I'm sure that's happened to a lot of us. But what I've noticed is there's a change in my perception about emotions. I'm seeing them as being different than what I thought they were, that feelings are different than emotions. And I'm getting more in touch with joy, which I believe is an innate part of us, that it's covered up by all kinds of our wounds and everything like that. And getting more in touch with the joy, and I would leave some of the sessions and I'd just naturally be smiling, or I'd be coming to do a session and I would smile more and more as I was getting here. And so I haven't quite figured out this whole thing about emotions and feelings, but I'm able to handle the ups and downs of others, like my housemate, much more easily. She's been having a real tough time lately, and I find that before, where I would get pulled into the emotion of what's happening and then me getting into the chaos of it, I'm not. And I really like that. And so those are probably the most significant things that are happening with me.
I can remember, Kathy, when you first started, that you came to me and you said, Elise, this is really odd. I just feel happier. It was just almost immediate for Kathy. Yeah. She said, I feel really much more in tune with my heart. I just am happy and I'm finding myself smiling all the time. And I got a big kick out of that because I had a similar experience when I started. So I'll go next. I've done about 53 sessions, so I've been one of the front runners of this first colony. And it's been a remarkable process for me, and I'm really excited to continue and just continue to Zoom, because I have had phenomenal results in my everyday life and everything about my life. When I started Core Resonance, I realized right away that the things that I was mentalizing during the day calmed down, that my mind wasn't as active. And I've done a lot of meditation work and study, and so I wasn't really an active mind because I knew how to go into a deep meditative state. But I did notice a significant shift right off the bat. And some of the things that happened during Core Resonance were just astounding, and they keep getting more and more astounding. One of the biggest things that was so in my face was Esther. I had Esther come with me because it was time for my new car. And my last car buying experience was not a happy one. And so I said, hey, Esther, would you go with me? Because I need some support. So she said, yeah. So we went. And I'd been doing Core Resonance for months. And we were both happy, and we laughed all the way to Flagstaff and went to the place. And I was in a leased vehicle that I needed to turn in. And my desire was to lease a new vehicle, the same type of vehicle. And when I got there, I'd done some homework with the dealer, and they had a vehicle sitting there waiting for me. And it wasn't what I wanted. And I said, well, this is nice, but I don't do white cars. And I want a red one. And I wanted the exact same payment that I have now, which was, it had been 3 years. I want the exact same payment, and I want to walk out if you're paying you nothing today. And they turned to me and said, okay. They walked back into, and Esther and I looked at each other like, oh, right. and we sat down, they said, have a seat, and we'll find your red one. And we said, well, you know what, we'll go to lunch, and we'll come back. And they said, okay. So we went to lunch, and we came back, and they said, we found your car, and we have good news and bad news. The good news is it's all-wheel drive, not just front-wheel drive. And it has these other, benefit, added things on it that your other car didn't have, but we're going to keep it the same price, and we'll deliver it to you. We can't get it today, but we're going to drive it to you on Monday. That was on a Saturday. We will drive it to you on Monday. Are you ready to do a deal? I said yes. And it was exactly everything I wanted. And Esther and I laughed all the way home. Thank you, Jim! Thank you, core resonance! Because it was so coherent. And the experience was phenomenal. There was no dickering. There was no upselling. There was no, it just was whatever you want. And I simply stated what I wanted, and I got it. Another experience is I went through a relationship breakup that was really traumatic for me. And I kind of wobbled a bit. And as I wobbled, when the mind was racing, how am I going to deal with this? How am I going to deal with this? Which is not my normal state. And I found, and I explained this to Jim, when I went to do core resonance at those times, it instantly brought me out of it. And I could relax, my central nervous system relaxed, and everything, I was fine. And so I did a lot of core resonance during that time. And it pulled me through. And core resonance would not allow me to be in that relationship because it was wrong for me. And I recognize that, and I'm very thankful for that. And now what I'm experiencing, besides my business taking off, besides being able to do 3 times the work that I would normally accomplish, I'm like triple my capacity for what I can accomplish. It's just very streamlined. I have no rush, I have no push, I have no tiredness. Everything just settles in and gets done. And it's gotten to the point, and this may sound a little wacky, but it's gotten to the point where the phone rings and I know who's calling. I don't even have to look. I know who it is, and it's the psychic phenomenon is off the charts. So and nature is communicating with me. I have birds come in and talk to me and give me messages, and if I'm going the wrong direction, they're banging on my windows, and it's been interesting. So the universe is definitely in sync with the real Elise and giving me guidance and direction every step of the way. And I'm so more relaxed and so much more at ease, and things just roll out. I'm happy and grateful for all the friends that I have, especially this group, because all of you are near and dear to my heart. And it's been an exciting experience.
Good for Sedona.
Yeah.
Good for us.
Good for us, huh?
Yep.
I feel like I came to Sedona for this.
Yes.
I've been here 6 years, and I feel like I came to Sedona for this.
Yes, I saw my story. I resonate with everything that you both are saying, because I think some of the things that you were going through similarly on my end. As an example, for me, and then I'll go to the work front, is that it's been very affluent. So the abundance started coming. And also in synchronicity, in a way, is that stress is something that is part of me. It comes back in other methodology systems, if you will, that's part of my makeup. I have to be very careful with that. Causes diseases and things like that. With a certain work that I had was amping up, there was more work, so that was the affluence that was coming in, so that was wonderful. At the same time, it started to amp up, it became too much of a risk position that I was in. It was a certain position that I'm part of, I need to be in front of the regulator. And it really wasn't appropriate because I didn't get to know enough of this particular company. Although that went on, I knew that it was going to be busier and busier. At the same time, something else came in, another work opportunity that I, work-wise, stress-wise, normally would say no to. But I felt with this work that I'm doing, I can handle it. I know I can do it. That work came in, I said yes, and lo and behold, synchronicity comes in because the more risk part became less. And I really think that is one of those things. You open a door, you don't allow the stress coming in, and I think I learned that to be more peaceful, more calm, more focused, not letting the whirlwind come in, creating more havoc, if you will. So don't put the attention on it. And with that, I think the other door opens, and that work situation became much better. So I'm in a calmer, peaceful state, much more focused, and therefore have more time, in essence.
Thank you.
And that's where I want to keep it.
Yeah. Affluence is good. Affluence is real good.
You know, there's a commonality in all of our remarks, and it has to do with synchronicity and what synchronicity looks like and how it expresses in our personal experience. You have an ease in your work you didn't have. You have an ease in your work you didn't have. You're doing more than you ever did. You're getting better jobs than you had. We've got all the magic down here at the end with what you came to Sedona for. Let me, since we're going around this way, let me do my deal, and I could tell my centipede story, but I probably shouldn't. Or I could tell the Ruby story, but I wrote it, my most recent article is titled, Is Coherence the New Magic? And I've got 8 or 9 big items that boom, 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 and you can't help but document them. But what I want to talk about is the newest thing that's going on for me. 2.5 months ago, I hurt myself putting something really heavy in the trunk, and I strained some muscles. And it took a couple of days to realize I'd kind of whacked myself. But I'm indestructible. I always bounce back. It's no big deal. I've always been like that. And then that next week, on a Monday, I did a bunch of yard work, and I really re-injured myself. I hadn't really gotten over it, but it had started to quiet down. I re-injured myself. The next thing you know, and this is really bad muscle strain here at my skull and my low back and everything in between, and even shooting down my legs a little bit. So I did chiropractors. I did 4 different chiropractors. I had some good luck with acupuncture, but nothing was quelling this. And I'm starting to think, is this the first time in my life where I'm going to start feeling my age? And so what ended up happening was I was on the Beamer, and I started doing deep breathing. And the deep breathe, oh, and by the way, what's caused all of this is I've had a growing inflammation issue. It's becoming big. I didn't realize what was going on until later, but I'm on the Beamer, I'm doing this deep breathing, and all of a sudden I'm starting to get some relief and oxygenation. And eventually what I discovered is that I had a lot of inflammation that had been growing combined with dehydration. And that's how I hurt myself, because the chiropractors didn't get it. All they want to do is to fix you. They don't want to go underneath. And so this ended up being a fancy introspective project for which I discovered dehydration. For now I drink water out of the spring up Oak Creek Canyon. That water is alive. It's different. I've heard you drink it straight from the... But, so what happened was I started to discover inflammation, dehydration, and oxygen. And somewhere in there already, we had ordered a bunch of oxygen equipment. I had talked with an MD about getting a prescription for oxygen. I don't know how these things all came together. But the long story short is I have discovered the next component of my health and maintenance of my health and my anti-aging and my longevity, and it revolves around an understanding of inflammation. And guess what? Inflammation resides in the capillaries. And the capillaries is 76% of your vascular system. So you don't have your nutrients getting in and out, so you injure yourself, you're not getting new blood and nutrients in and waste stuff back out, and eventually kills you. And so in this process, I remember when I leaned into the trunk with a 40-pound bag and I hurt myself, and while all this is going on, I wrote this article, Is Coherence the New Magic? And I'm getting beat up at the same time, or seemingly, and I discovered that your keto diet, and inflammation is the only enemy the human body has, I think. And you learn how to and the way you manage inflammation, by the way, is oxygen. And so what I've come to discover out of this 2.5-month adventure that was very painful, I couldn't turn my neck, it was almost impossible to drive, the whole thing was a mess. What I ended up discovering is that we have 2 main systems, our nervous system and our vascular system. Because the capillaries is the intermediary between your body and ultimately your inner mechanisms. So having your nervous system running and your vascular system running is a big chunk of the puzzle. And that has ended up being the biggest gift, and especially came out of all this chaos, this difficulty, if you will. And the reason I mentioned it is because it's my most recent, other than the, anyway. So I'm astounded to have discovered the inflammation issue. We all have it at some rate or another, and inflammation precedes cancer, precedes everything. And so it's just a big discovery. It's an introspective journey that gave me something huge that I expect to be able to be influential, not only with myself and my sweetie, but everybody around as we come to learn about how to use it.
Thank you.
Good. All right, well, I guess this is my 5 minutes.
Can you
Talk to the
speak
camera.
loudly?
Okay, everybody.
Master project.
I'm projecting. I'm pretty inspired by hearing what you guys' experiences so far, and I'm kind of envious because I haven't been able to do that many sessions. Different things in my personal life, and it's a 2-hour round trip for me to get here to do this. So it's like, okay, this is what I can look forward to. Pretty darn exciting. One of the things that I noticed early on, though, when it was easier for me to do more sessions, is that my nervous system tends to function at a pretty high rev. And a little thing I can get, and I know that about myself, and that was one of the things that I was hoping that it would help with, and it did. I had a couple of very almost shocking experiences where a big blow-up response did not happen. And I just was like, oh, nothing. There was nothing, really. No mental dialogue that I was getting rid of, or, no sort of nervous system stuff. It was like, oh, okay. And then I just dealt with it. I thought, this is pretty cool. So, I really want more of that, and I look forward to being able to do more sessions so that I can get more of that. These are 2 very powerful things that happened really close together, which told me something big was happening. And, Jim, you kept talking about coherence, and I know about it, I've read about it, but I wasn't experiencing it before I started. And I realized, okay, these 2 experiences I had, where I had weird accidents of dropping and spilling things and all that would normally have been totally upsetting. And I realized, oh, this is what coherence feels like. It wasn't just something I read about. I've been reading Heart Math and the Ladder of Consciousness, or the whatever you call it, Map of Consciousness. Yeah. So as a long-term meditator, I really wasn't even sure that I needed this work or that it would help me, because I'm already here, I'm already spiritually advanced. But then why am I overreacting to these little silly things that happen that throw me off? So that's where I feel like the core resonance sessions have really dovetailed with my long-term meditation practice. The 2 are just synchronizing, and I feel like as I'm able to do more sessions, I'm looking forward to seeing more of that happening.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I met Jim about 3 years ago, and I've been doing core resonance. And since I've started that process, I've definitely become more coherent and more connected, and having just continued. Well, first of all, my business has doubled. Not too bad.
Yeah.
That really helps. But I did just recently have this amazing experience. Our housekeeper was not available for a couple of weeks, and so I was looking around to see if I could find somebody to take their place, and I found someone, and I didn't know them, and I think she came, very lovely, and I have a very deep connection to the avatar, Mother Mira, and I've gone to Germany twice to see her, and this gal said, "Do you know that Mother Mira is coming to Sedona?"
She only came as a housekeeper one time.
One time.
Wow.
I said, no. I had no idea. And so she said, yeah, she'll be here in another month or so. And I was just beside myself. It was Jim and I were going to go to Germany. So I was beside myself and thrilled that that was going to happen. And then Jim went on the website and there was no mention of Mother Mira coming to Sedona at all. Zilch. So how did I find her again?
She called, your
Oh,
housekeeper
yeah.
called us
That's right.
the second time. to
She
remind us.
texted me and she said, she's coming, like in 3 weeks. Do you want to be on the committee to welcome her and to be a part of that process? And I said, oh my God, yes, we both do. So it was just an amazing synchronicity. It was just, and I know that Mother Mira said, get Alexis there for whatever reason. Only God knows, truly. But I will be there. And I'm just thrilled at the joy and of the process of co-residence and coherence and the miracles that can happen and experience so much happiness and joy from it.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
As the last person, I wonder if there's anything to say, but I'll do my best. And I'm going to slice it short run and long run. And short run means you do the session, which mainly has been the long view for me, and what do I feel in the minutes and hours after the session? And I feel different. I feel calmer, I feel more focused, I am more aware of what's going around me. It's a good state to be in. It's a calmness and an awareness at the same time. I'm always concerned that awareness is going to clutter and make my life more complex. But this is the combination of being relaxed, feeling in control, and yet being aware and alert and alive to possibilities and to what's happening. The long run is a few days later, a week later, weeks later, when a situation, as has been said before, situation that was typically stressful, the stress isn't there. Where did the stress go? And the time and space, according to Newton, they're fixed. Not in this experience. So it's the circumstances, what I'll call the spatial relationships, just don't seem as fixed. They're fluid. They're flowing. I can feel things through. I don't have to overthink. I don't have to overanalyze. That's used to be an addiction of mine. Analyzing things. I must figure it out. I must understand. Hey, I don't need to do it. I can go through the situation and let it flow. And then the time is, wow, I have more time than I need. Or more time than I thought I needed. And I'm going, this slowing down, this spaciousness of time is something to be desired, is something to be welcomed. And I'm finding more and more of it. And it's all good.
All right.
Great, thank you.
Mary. Well, we just all want to say thank you to you, Jim.
Yes.
Yes.
For designing all of these protocols and getting us together, asking us to come together and be the first colony. We're all honored, very honored.
Very
And,
much so. Very much an honor.
And we're all excited about all the synchronicities and coherence to come.
Yes.
Yes.
Let me tell you, go ahead.
I want to thank Elise for being our food preparer and fixing such wonderful meals when we gather together. Because that adds so much.
Alexis.
Alexis.
I said Elise. I'm sorry about that. I actually do know the difference. But I just want to thank you for that, Alexis, because that, to be able to really, truly break bread in a community atmosphere, I think has increased our connection with each other.
For sure.
Absolutely.
It's increased
Thank
our
you.
You're welcome.
coherence.
My
Yeah.
pleasure.
It's always been delicious.
I want to end this by telling a story how this whole thing started. So I was introduced to neurofeedback in 2008. I had just finished my first book, Visionaries Thrive in All Times. I was living in Sedona, and I was going to go to the Harkins Theater in Flagstaff. And I left the house, and I was going to stop at AT&T and pay my bill, and then go to the movie theater. And I knew how much time it took. I got halfway up the road and discovered I didn't have anywhere near enough time to get there on time. And you know what I did? I ignored that. And I got there on time. And that was how this whole thing started. And at that time, I was working with Bill Tiller a little bit, William Tiller, and I was part of a group with neurofeedback. And I ended up discovering that as you quiet the brain and quiet the nervous system, resistance goes down. And as resistance goes down, the world opens up. And synchronicity, harmony, and order is a good example of what occurs.
Amen, brother.
Thank you. Great, what a time.
Time to eat.